Anyway, some good news. Did you see that Lego released a whole Friends Lego set? So excited about that.
Yeah, the that's been like a rumor for like a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen like the official sets. What do they have? I'm gonna assume they have the apartment and like Central Perk.
They actually don't have the coffee shop at all. It's literally just the two apartments and the hallway connecting them. It looks really cool. Plus they have Monica's head and they also have a switchable
The
head with the
turkey.
chicken or the turkey, yeah.
Oh, gross! That will come up in the childhood fears episode. No joke. Okay, au revoir. I'm Lee, and I want to be in the sequel.
Mais je suis un artiste, Nathan, and I don't want to be in the sequel because I'd rather have my leg eaten and die.
And you're listening to They're Here podcast.
A discussion,
disembowelment
of all things horror,
fear,
and the macabre.
So, ladies and gentlemen, bite the pillow because we're going in raw. We're doing raw today. No lube, no condom, just eye contact, honey. No. So we have gone across the pond from Japan to France today with our selection.
Francia. I love it. That's actually Spanish, but French.
Oh, there you go. If nothing, you're consistent with using the wrong language for the episode.
Okay, quickly before like we get into literally everything, just like last week, and Lee's like, I'm gonna fuck you over with choosing this movie. Fuck this movie. Fuck it. Fuck it right in the ass, going raw. Fuck it. I hate this movie. I adore it for the cinematography and the acting, but I fucking hate this movie from beginning to end. Fuck you.
That's fine. I'm just very, very quickly looking up a pronunciation of a name right
here. Which one?
The director's name.
Julia Ducournau.
Okay, there you go.
Ducournau. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's speaking now, bitch?
Yeah, I did German.
So did I.
I did French. Anyway, so France today.
Yes, French horror cinema. Now, you said this once before to me that something about French horror kind of creeps me out in particular. There's something about the quote unquote rawness of, you know, these movies, and definitely this one is a cringe fest, and it makes me uncomfortable to watch it. It really does.
Which, like, no joke, ladies and gents, and all in between, I like very much so specifically picked this movie because I knew it would make Nathan uncomfortable. I gave him the option of one other French movie, which we'll get to another time, or this, and I think you were kind of fucked either way, because yeah, the French are like very, very brutal when it comes to their horror. They're very very visceral. That's kind of like part of that whole like French new wave horror, where it's like every scene is almost medical horror in a way, where it's like it's realistic. It's not like people aren't like blowing up and like fucking splattering all over the place. It's like yeah, just very kind of exquisite horror, I would say, like exquisitely gory.
Yeah, especially with this film, because violence in this film is used very kind of sparingly. It's sort of sprinkled throughout the film, which only makes the impact of when it does happen a lot more impactful. It's a lot more visceral, because it's only used in little tidbits here and there, you know? So it's definitely more creepy and more scary and more unsettling in a way.
Yeah, and like this does take place. I'll give everybody like a very like brief plot rundown in a sec, but this does take place in like a doctor's college, like for actual like medical doctors and veterinarians, les veterinariens, and all that other kind of stuff. All these people are using scalpels. It's scalpel college, so we do get a couple of scenes of like non-human gore as well, which I know some people, in particular Nathan, what a fucking baby,
Baby.
kind of like
Fucking baby.
Le petit baby. Yeah, people find it like kind of like hard to take, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like giving myself like a French affectation. Affectation.
We just do this
Le
whole
petit
episode in
affectation.
French, like accents the whole time. Well, you're a little baby, aren't you? I smoke my cigarette and puff in your face.
Oh yeah, I actually did want to say I have this note that it's like this movie made me want to eat meat and have a cigarette. For real. But yeah, I don't know what this little like French le petit affectation. I love that. Okay, so brief plot rundown. So, stranger veterinarian Justine encounters a decadent, merciless, and dangerously seductive world during her first week at veterinary school. Desperate to fit in, she strays from her principles and eats raw meat for the first time. The young woman soon experiences terrible and unexpected consequences as her true self begins to emerge. Hmm.
I do want to just kind of quickly kind of put this note in before we kind of really do kind of get into the rundown and like themes and all of that kind of thing, because I'm only vegetarian now for about, I'd say, nearly 2 years, but I really like this film did make me squirm quite a lot, and not because of like someone eating a finger or eating your man's leg or whatever. This whole kind of thought process behind it of losing oneself to an animalistic intent where the actual bodily harm towards another is sort of seen very emotionless and very sort of like you could almost explain it in a very kind of cathartic way where once it happens, everything is sort of open to you know the universe,
All
like
bets are off.
once, yeah, all bets are off, like and it's just very, and unintentional ways, you know what I mean, very unintentionally. I grab certain messages from certain scenes and certain plots that I really just like. It makes me, because I am a vegetarian and I see animals in the moralistic sense that they shouldn't be killed, that this film does really make me uncomfortable. And like, I only watched it, Lee said this before, but I only watched it till about the 30-minute mark. I think it was 2 maybe 3 years ago, and then I stopped watching it, and then I watched the rest of it a couple of nights ago, and I was still uncomfortable. I really was. Fuck this movie, man. Fuck this movie.
Sensation. I loved it. I loved this movie. No, for real. Like I like kind of what you're touching on. That it's like, and I'm like, I'll get into this more. I actually have notes on this, like kind of towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, that like humans have this weird relationship with like nature and other animals where we tend to like separate ourselves from animals as if there's us and then there's all of them,
Yeah.
which is just not true. Like it just isn't true. We are also animals. So to kind of see people return to, yeah, kind of like a feral animalistic side can be shocking, but like I don't think so. Like I think like also like being a meat eater, I find a lot of meat eaters can be like very hypocritical, where like they don't want to know where their food has come from. They don't want to know that their food had a face or that their food might have um, gone through a bad time. But I, like Pennywise, think fear makes my meat taste nicer. But no, for real, I don't find this so shocking just because it's like I for one as a meat eater um don't have like a huge clear delineation between a steak on my plate and a cow on a farm. It's like I know what that is. It's a piece of flesh. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't like super gross me out. And like again, personally, I wouldn't be super opposed to like hunting my own food or butchering my own food, I think like it's kind of hypocritical not to, because then you're taking away the horror out of it. It's like it is horrific, but
Preach,
I don't know. I'm
preach.
kind of I'm kind of no, but for real, I'm kind of a caveman that way, you know. Um, if you gotta kill, if you want to, what is it? If you want to, you gotta kill a cow if you want to make a burger. There you go.
True, true, girl, true.
Okay,
All
so let's
right.
dive in.
Let's deep dive straight into this and eat each other's thighs.
So yeah, so Justine, our main character, she's young. She's actually meant to be 16 in this. I know.
16 and going to a veterinarian school? Mate, there's something going on there.
It's France though. Shit is different. They're allowed to smoke indoors. You know.
Well, anyway, yeah, Garance Marillier is her name, and she does such a fucking good job as the main kind of protagonist, but also the antagonist, really. She's great. She's a fantastic actress. The range of motion, or sorry, of emotion that this woman goes through is absolutely unbelievable. And like, I kind of want to almost compare it to that scene in The Joker where he dances in the bathroom. To that violin solo and all that, where she does the same thing in front of that mirror. I love it. I think she's
It was
so
a great
good.
song, by the way. I took in some of the lyrics from this fucking song, which
I love the musical score. I actually have once what's her name? Saidu. Sorry. I only started recently listening to that artist and I fucking love it because her songs are played during all the club scenes where they're all like dancing and getting fucked up.
they're all in English and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
Basically, yeah, like we'll get to it, but like one of the lyrics is like blowjob queen, I like to bang the dad. I like to bang the dad. Hello.
Kiss the mirror, all that.
Oh, come on, we've all had that moment though.
We've all had a moment where we want to eat a finger, but I'm not going to talk about it.
I don't talk about eating fingers, I just eat fingers.
Oh my god. You can bite through a finger just as easily as you can bite through a carrot.
Uh-huh. Did you also know that your teeth and jaw have enough power in them to crush your own teeth, but your brain won't let you do it?
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Yep.
Oh.
Much easier than biting through a finger. So, I'm not going to go through like a scene-by-scene breakdown for this movie, but I do want to talk about the opening scene, just very briefly, which kind of alludes to like shit that will go on later. We see a car driving down a road, and this is a road that we'll actually kind of like see numerous times throughout this. It's kind of like it's just like a regular stretch road, and we see a car going down. We see somebody throw themselves out in the road, and this car just swerves off the road, goes right into this tree, and the person who we are not to know who it is just yet, lying in the road, gets up and just goes over, and then the movie starts, and then we get into credits, and there's God damn it, human meat does not sit well with me.
Oh my god.
So like just kind of jumping in, this girl is immediately like basically getting hazed. Her first night there, she hears like lead thumping and all this kind of stuff, and everybody's like turning beds over and like throwing them out the window and shit like that. We meet her roommate Adrienne, and she's like, I asked for a get. I'm not even gonna like speak French because I don't do that, but I can if you like. No, she like meets her roommate who is my human share of the week. He's gorgeous. He's so pretty. What a snack, literally.
There's going to be a lot of cannibal jokes in this.
I love their little relationship together. Because even though she is, like you said, antagonist and protagonist at the same time, I'm like very endeared to her. I don't ever look at her as
Agreed.
like villainous in a way. Like she does some creepy shit, but also like I feel super bad for her. And I couldn't help but compare this movie to Saint Maud. for some
Yes,
reason.
I can see why you're going
Um,
there. Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like it's like they kind of play the exact same role of antagonist and protagonist, where it's like you feel bad for this girl, but also like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like snap a bit a little, you know? She's like your one friend who's like going through some shit that like we've been quiet for too long. I'm shaking you by the shoulders now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Snap out of it.
Yeah.
Snap out of it.
Snap out of it. Oh.
Put your sister's finger down now. Yeah, for real.
With this all these kind of hazing rituals, and you get a few of them throughout this film. The hazing rituals are almost, I want to say, almost brutal and kind of mentally breaking people down, because number one, they fuck them out of the dorm. Like, when I say fuck them out of the dorm, I mean literally they break down doors, pull
Like
people out of
malicious
their
style. It's
beds.
like a
Yeah.
raid.
Yeah, it's like a raid in the rooms, and they're fucked out of the dorm in their underwear, in like just a t-shirt. Some people are, I think, are actually naked in the background because they sleep naked. So
Yeah,
like it's fucking crazy, and all of their mattresses are fucked out the windows, and they're forced to literally crawl on their hands and knees at one point as well, which is it's just, yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah. I like
I feel
mentally
very
breaking
quick
them
about
down.
that scene. Like that scene where, because it kind of just cuts from the hallway to this like scene of everybody crawling. And I
Quietly.
had it. I
Yeah.
was like, this is fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Like seeing it, because it looks like people are like crawling up a wall, like over, and then like people are just like, yeah, on their hands and knees crawling, and it it's like our first comparison of humans with animals.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
where we see like humans in place, like on hands and knees, but it's like it's kind of slowed a little bit, and like the music's kind of off a little bit. It's creepy. It was like
Yeah.
my first. I think that was like kind of the only scene where I was like, oh shit. And like I had watched this movie before, and actually remember it being a little bit more kind of quote unquote vile, I guess, like when I watched it originally. But this is the only scene that made me kind of like, oh shit, that's fucking creepy. I don't know
Yeah.
if I like that.
I have
You know?
much of a theory about this film, as it is about like obviously like gore and cannibalism and things like that, but it's about losing oneself to, it's almost like what we're talking about, assimilation. It's losing oneself to the pressures of societal standards, and like spiraling literally to the point of being shamed by society, which happens to Justine at the end of this. But the cannibalism aspect of it allows the director to depict people in a more primal, animalistic sense, and then obviously like the depictions of them literally being forced to crawl to their hazing. Um, like most of the people there are almost hunched over. Like there's scenes of a lot of like Justine and Alexia, who's played by Ella Ramph, uh, consistently hunched over in a very animalistic, brutish sense. And we also get that kind of famous Kubrick stare of like the head down, the eyes, just like the white of the eyes.
Oh yeah, there's
We
a couple
get
of
those
scenes where
so
she
much.
is so great up. Like
Yeah.
she's posing, and like no joke, I can't even blame her. I've like been at a party before. Like you've been at that party before, where like or like nobody's talking to you. No, it's not that nobody's talking to you. You're not talking to anybody,
Yeah.
and you're just kind of like sitting in the corner. There's one scene where she's like sitting up on the sink or something, and she's just like,
Yeah, she's got the
she's
Kubrick
just
stare.
like staring out.
Yeah.
I've done that several times in like a smoking area or something like that. And then people for some reason like come up to you because they're like, oh shit, let me like, I don't know, like this is intriguing. But also it's like that's the person I would probably like deadline for at a party. I'm like, who is her?
Yeah.
I want to know her. You. But yeah, no, this whole movie really makes you think of like people as meat, which people
Yes.
are like not used to like thinking about it that way. Like we kind of briefly touched on last week with Texas Chainsaw. It's like the reason people find that movie and movies like this so horrifying, or cannibal like movies in general so horrifying, is like we as humans are kind of used to just being like at the top of the food chain. Like nothing eats us generally, and like when it does, it's so horrifying. It's like world news, you know, if somebody gets eaten by a lion somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
But guess what, people? We are flesh. We are just robots made out of flesh and fluids and calcium and shit like that, like every other animal on this planet, you know?
Yeah.
There was a long time where we weren't the dominant and things were just eating us, you know? We only became the dominant because we ate out the other things that were like us, you know? We'll get to the uncanny valley someday.
Oh, love that theme.
But for real. And
Yeah.
also, like, with this hazing, I'm not fucking going to this college. I don't give a shit if you're going to try and haze me. I'm here to get educated, bro.
Yeah.
Also, this little crawling scene leads right up into like a party scene in like a so whatever. I'm like, is this regulation? Is this place up to code? All these people are jumping around.
Yeah.
There has been one too many nightclubs that have fallen the fuck down because the shit was not up to standard.
Yeah. There's a lot of that you get in this film where it's almost like, you see, the director really, like, and actually the cinematographer, Ruben Impens, he and the director really kind of collaborated in a way that makes this film seem like, I don't want to say dirty, but like wherever Justine goes, everything seems dirty. The grout line is dirty. Their coats, all the older students wear their coats.
Grout in this movie,
but
my
like,
God.
the amount, and also not to mention like when they're going to classes, and especially when Justine and Adrian, who's played by a guy whose name I literally cannot and won't try to pronounce. His first name is Rabat, but it's so like the tables.
Cut that.
the
Deadass.
the tables are dirty. She's cutting open a dog, so apathetical. It's just really disgusting, and like you feel like after you finish this film you want to get a fucking shower, because like it's just so dark and gritty, and I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't make you feel good afterwards, you know?
No, like for somewhere that's supposed to be so sanitary, like a hospital or like a veterinary or something like this. This whole movie is like, it's very like grimy, like
sweaty,
just thinking about this club scene.
smoky.
It's like not even a club scene. It's kind of like a little like squat rave or kind of thing that they have set up for all the initiates, right? And like the first thing that happens to her, like she's just in like underwear, basically. She's in underwear and like this like thin ass little string top, and like the first thing that happens to her when she gets there is somebody like spills a drink all over her. So like off bat she's just like soaking wet and dank and like alone. And like we kind of get we touched on this like with Hereditary. It's like I understand that feeling of like being certain you can be in a room with 100 people and 99 don't believe in you.
Yeah.
It's very where she's like literally just searching around for everybody, and then she like finds Adrian, and he's like making out with somebody, and then she's like just searching for people, and then she finds her sister. We're finally introduced to this kind of like sister who we got a little bit of setup about. We're already kind of trained to like believe that this sister is kind of a piece of shit because she was supposed to like come collect her, and then she didn't, and the parents are like, whatever, like fuck her, like she'll come collect you, bye, we're not waiting around. And I like this sister character initially.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this sister character is the villain, I think.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, obviously, depending on like how you view her from the get go, and then versus like how she actually is at the end. I immediately don't like her, specifically because, again, it's working on that sort of societal standards and the pressures of fitting in that even her. Alexia, who is Justine's older sister, who has been in the college and she's dealt with the hazing process and she knows what it's like. For Alexia to force, again being vegetarian, but like to force Justine, who has been a lifelong vegetarian, to suddenly eat meat, says so much about how Alexia views her societal reputation and how Justine has her firm belief standards, right up until the point that Alexia force feeds the rabbit kidney in the hazing process to Justine. She literally forces it into her mouth, and I really I don't
Well,
like her. I don't like her
I
at
have a
all.
slight rebuttal. We get kind of okay, yeah. So just like moving on past this like hazing scene, basically it's like they get doused in. It's not blood. It is like red paint or whatever like that, or
It's like a
like
syrup kind
some.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was blood, which could also like very much so be a Carrie reference, just from like the kind of the way that it's shot. It comes out of
Yeah.
nowhere, um, and they're all kind of lined up, and we see that like there's people like coming from this like the top of the line like back kind of like oh like grossed out or whatever, and like to be fair, it wasn't necessarily forced on her because everybody basically when they get to the top of this line has to eat a raw rabbit kidney, right? Or quote unquote has to, um if you want to like I don't know make things go smoothly, um and then like after the fact we like kind of get that she's like having a reaction, a quote unquote reaction. She wakes up with like like some like viral looking, like it looks like she's been burned or something. She's got like the most severe like food poisoning reaction ever, and she's in this doctor's office, and I really like her. I really like this doctor for some
Yeah.
reason because like she has this little story of there was a girl and she was round, you know, kind of fat. Um, and like basically this girl, like nobody would inject her because she was too fat or whatever like that. But this is the first scene that I was like, damn, I want to have a cigarette. I paused the movie and had a cigarette out my window because she just pulls a cigarette out indoors and starts smoking. But she was like, oh, like what happened? And she was like, oh, like, I ate a raw rabbit kidney. And she was like, did they force you? And she was like, well, no. And she was like, did you say no? And she was like, well, no. Like she could have not eaten it, and it would have just been like more severe punishment for her.
Yeah. This is actually something I really kind of want to touch on because it's a consistent theme throughout this film about college pressures and the reputation that kind of keeps the anxiety of being like a virgin, a lack of control on your environment, and all of this. Like for example, Justine has been like how do I say it? She's been sheltered. She doesn't have a perspective on this type of how do I say upbringing before, and like to go into this where you're being told, like literally her older sister says when she ingests the kidney, it's like they're watching. Do you really want to be rejected and shunned now before you even get into
Yeah,
college?
do you want to start the year off with a failure?
Yeah. And like also not to mention even the doctor, like again it's a societal standard that there were even doctors within the college who were like, you know what, no, I don't want to deal with you because you're fat. And then she even tells Justina, she going out the door, you know what, find a quiet corner, stay there until you pass this. Like it's literally just society telling you stay down, do what we're telling you, and then you'll get on and you'll be accepted. It's so hard to like miss these things and like not actually talk about it, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and like okay, well like since we're just gonna kind of like not jump around, but it's like I'm not gonna like keep the ending like for the ending
Yeah,
necessarily
hold on.
now.
Actually, we should say that we're not going to hold any spoilers here. If you haven't watched the film, go watch it. We're not holding back. So, forewarning you.
I think we said on like one of our first episodes that it's just like spoiler alerts are at the window. Like we're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
I take from this that like the sister already knows like what the crack is with the mom. Spoiler alert: all the women in this family eat people.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. And the person from the start of the movie, I take to be Alex. She's already been doing this, you know.
Yeah.
Like just a very like kind of quick hint with this when Justine is in the doctor's office, she gives her this cream, and then she like stays over in her sister's that night, and finds the same cream in her sister's bathroom cabinet or whatever. So you're kind of like that's your first hint, but I take it as like come on, be yourself kind of a thing, because like there's a couple of lines where we get from Alex to Justine where she's like, oh, mom has got to you. like, you sound like mom, you're acting like mom. You know, I take it that like Alex is like wants to be like more out and proud of
Who she is.
of Hannibal, yeah,
Yeah.
versus the mom, where it's like it's very very suppressed, to the point where like even her daughter didn't know about it until the, the actual reveal at the end is great, and I think it's kind of hilarious as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
We notice the very end scene is they're eating their vegetables, and she's like, I'm not hungry, I don't want to finish my vegetables. And then the dad is kind of like, again, lights a cigarette indoors, and the dad kind of like has this little bit of dialogue, and we notice that like the dad kind of has like a little scar on the top of his lip, and then he's like, well, you know, your mother found a way to like deal with it, it's not really your sister's fault, all this kind of stuff. And then like opens up his shirt to show just like huge chunks gone out of his chest and his torso, and a lot of them are like fresh still. So I have that like this vegetarianism this vegetarianism was forced on her just as much as um this eating kidneys was.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there are two forms of suppression that this girl is getting kind of on either end. You know, you
Yeah.
feel bad for her,
Yeah.
like she's almost trapped in a way.
Yeah, you really do. And like it's never sort of clarified as to whether like we know it is genetic, but it's never clarified as to why the women are sort of kind of getting obviously the craving for human flesh. It's never clarified, which I like. I sort of like that ambiguity as to why. Were they part of a cult? Were they genetically that way? Were they cursed, in the past or something like that? But I really do like the fact that it's little to no reason why. They just know that it's passed down through. We just know for a fact that it's just passed down in through the women in the family, and it's really weird. But I like it. I like it.
Well, there's a couple of scenes. There's one scene in particular later in one of the clubbing scenes where I get like heavy zombie imagery. Like she's like kind of on the floor, eyes are like almost completely rolled back, and she's kind of almost got like corpse paint on. She's got like dark makeup around her eyes. She's got like the red all over her mouth, and she's not just like she's fucked up and she's on the floor. And like that scene is also one of the reasons why I think the sister is like a villain in like kind of a Brad Pitt and Fight Club kind of a way, where it's kind of like I'm gonna have to break you the fuck down in order for you to be who you're really supposed to be.
Yeah.
But in that scene, she's on the floor and she's doing those kind of like nips at this guy's hand, at a cadaver's hand. They like have this like raid in like the morgue or whatever, and she's on the floor and she's kind of just like like in very kind of modern zombie kind of way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this is one of those times where I like that it's ambiguous. Like this is a movie we're never gonna get a sequel to. We're never gonna get a prequel or nothing like this, you know. I just like that it's like like this family of like feral women that like to eat not just raw meat, but like human flesh. Like it's specifically human flesh that they like.
Yeah. I would also describe this sort of story as very much a coming of age story, and exploring like not just overtly about sexuality, but exploring your needs for acceptance, and then obviously like sexual kind of awareness or awakening, because there are several scenes in this film where you can see not only just Justine's awakening, but you see an amount of times where Adrian is having obviously either sexual encounters or him exploring his own sexuality because of him being gay, number one, but also the fact that he's opening up himself more as well. So the theme is consistently explored throughout this film of like becoming a woman, or just exploring one's sexuality and sexual preferences and all of this kind of thing. And I really do appreciate it. I think it's done very subtly in a very well done way. Like for example, Justine, Garance Maridier's character, she is it's very obvious like she has sexual desires for Adrian. There's a scene where he's playing kick footy or just football with a lot of the guys. Well, we call it kick footy. just kicking a ball around, and he's shirtless and everything, and she's just looking at him with desire filled gaze, and it's just really good. It's very overt, and it's also very subtle in ways, you know.
She's looking at him like prey almost,
Yes.
like in like a like I in one way or another she needs to have him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, very, very intensely. I don't blame her. This dude is beautiful. Holy shit, he's beautiful. No, yeah, this movie really kind of picks up on not even just the, like for sex or for meat or for killing or whatever. This like weird relationship that humans have with cravings and being able to um like impulse control. You know what I mean? A lot of the times in this movie, it's like the shit that she's doing. You almost get the sense that she has no control over herself. There's a couple of scenes where she is almost straight up feral, like she's
Yes.
acting like an animal, just kind of blindly biting at things or biting at people in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And again, that's why I don't feel like she's so villainous, because I've always looked at like the idea of like a feral child or like an addict or something like that, where it's like only part of it is them. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that they're doing this out of a choice or out of a, oh, you know what, that would be fucking fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like some compelling her. And then it's like to show it's like it's not just that she's not a freak. It's like literally genetic.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that she could have done to stop this, you know.
I think it is.
And like I suppose all of it is kind of kicked off when she eats that kidney. That's when she gets her kind of first taste. And we're told that can we skip ahead a little bit just so I can make this point?
Yeah, go for it. We're not going. We've literally jumped to the end.
I know, but I don't want to just be like completely like all over the place. So there's a scene where Alex is like waxing Justine, right?
Oh my god, you've skipped so far ahead. There's so much that you've missed. Yeah, fuck you.
Great. Nathan doesn't want to talk about foreign cinema. Put that dead ass. No, I'm joking. Fuck off, and I hang up the call. No, for real. There's a scene later on where Alex and Justine are waxing, right? And the wax like gets stuck or some shit, which actually like that like doesn't happen. Wax would just like come right out. But she like goes to get scissors, right? And then she's like, "It's my fucking pussy!" And then Justine like kicks Alex in the side of the head, and we don't like think anything has happened. And then she like gets up. Alex gets up, and her middle finger on her left hand is gone. It's just gone. But we get like in the kind of scene just after that, we get a conversation between Justine and her father, who's also very cute, but not human chair worthy. He's like, "Oh well, look, they told everybody that because Justine eats the finger. Yeah, she just eats the finger, and then the sister wakes up and doesn't have an issue with it."
Like literally
gnaws
like,
at it,
the
just
whole
little
thing.
pieces,
Yeah.
just savoring it.
Yeah.
At first, the blood is just like dripping on her hand, and then she cups it up to be like, "Oh, I can't waste this," and then licks it off her hand, and then like it just sucked all the blood off of it, right? And then it's just like gnawing little pieces off, and I'm like, the finger though, of all places, like that is not optimal human flesh eating. Like space right there.
But
it's a finger.
She said, I think it's hilarious. It's like, did I at least taste good? She's like, you tasted like curry.
There's a scene later where Alex bites a thing out of her face and she's like, you taste like shit. But so this is where Alex kind of is like, okay. Also, so am I, bro. I fucking love this kind of shit. Yeah. But we basically get it that they've told everybody that the dog ate her finger, and then we kind of get this thing that the father. This is such a long-winded explanation for like a tiny little sentence. The father is having a cigarette with Justine outside, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, they have to put the dog down because once a dog has a taste for human flesh, it's not safe. It cannot be trusted because what if he develops a taste for it and he likes it it's unsafe and
Yeah.
dangerous, which is literally exactly what is happening, like, with the daughter, you know?
Yeah.
And this is just another one of those movies where I'm like, God damn it, just be honest with your fucking kid.
Yeah.
And it would avoid so much fucking shit, bro. You know?
There's so many times where that type of event has happened and it just fucks up whoever the story is about. There's too many times. Just tell your kids you made a deal with the devil and you'll be fine.
Exactly. Talk to your kids about sex. Talk to your kids about eating meat. Talk to your kids about their mom eating your chest off. But, like, no, maybe, like, not, like, super out of context, but when that certain situation is arising with both of your daughters, maybe just hint at the fact that, like, yo, your mom also does this and has found out a way to, like, figure it out, i.e. found a man who doesn't mind being ingested.
Quite literally.
Literally. Gobble me, swallow me, drip down the side of me. He really said that. Yeah. He said, eat my ass. She said, I have a knife and fork ready. You know? Yo, your mom totally likes to eat people. You ever wonder why I only have one ass cheek? You know?
Salami nipples, literally.
Yeah. Fried salami nipples. Yeah.
Fried sauce just draped down his chest and she went for it. Yes.
Look, Dad, I'm not going to kink shame you or anything, but, like, I don't think you should let Mom eat you.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, speaking of, like, kink shaming and things like that, I always think so. I said this to you earlier, but there's a scene where Justine walks in on Adrian and some other guy blowing him, and he, like, there's this kind of slow, like, oh fuck moment from Justine, but Adrian's just looking at her and he, like, slowly closes the door on her face and, like, she stands outside and listens to it. But I couldn't help but think of We Need to Talk About Kevin, and the fact that that's that scene where Kevin's mother, Tilda Swinton's character, walks in on him literally masturbating and he doesn't stop. She's surprised, but he just keeps going until she slams the door on him. I think it's so funny.
If you got caught by Tilda Swinton masturbating, would you stop?
I don't want to answer that.
I would start when she walked into the room. Tilda Swinton is so hot and handsome and beautiful, but an angel, like, biblically accurate.
She was originally in the role in the league for Pennywise, which is crazy. I'd love that.
I actually would have loved to have seen that,
yeah.
But I want to see her play angels more often. She played I think she played Gabriel in Constantine, yeah. Which makes a whole bunch of sense. She's one of the only people that, like, genuinely gives off, like, full androgynous vibes.
Yes,
like, nowadays.
Agreed, totally agree. Especially now as she's a little bit older in age.
Yeah,
she's still beautiful, absolutely stunning.
She's starting to become a little bit more handsome.
Yes. I think it's the cheekbones. It's the cheekbones.
Yeah. I think it's because she looks like... Sorry, this is Tilda Swinton Minute.
This is a weekly segment.
She's got this, like... She's not even remotely related to this movie, but I don't give a fuck. Give Tilda her props. It's because she's got this, like, really, like pointed angular face, and then, like, eyes that kind of tilt up in a certain way. It's like this, like, ethereal but also threatening, beautiful yet handsome magic. I love Tilda Swinton, bro. Tilda Swinton, spin in my face. Yeah.
Human chair of the week.
I'm putting it out here. I'm manifesting out loud. One day I would like Tilda Swinton to step all over me. Thank
you. Universe, please deliver.
It's that little thing with the snake, but it's do tread on me.
Yeah.
Please. I want Tilda Swinton in a pair of combat boots to come in and kick my head in. That lady is so great. So raw.
Raw, literally raw.
Yeah. Yeah. I would let Tilda Swinton get me pregnant. We would find a way. We would figure it out.
Artificial insemination.
Tilda, if you're listening.
Yeah. If you want to be a guest, please.
Okay, anyway. Tune in next week for another Tilda Swinton minute. Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the cannibals.
Yeah.
We had too much fun with this.
Okay, so very quickly, we get this, like, after it's all been established that Adrian is gay and stuff like that, and after we've kind of gotten to know our, like, main set of characters, but there's, like, a bunch of little, like, BC characters that we, like, never run into again, but, like, we have our main cast, right? And there's this scene after they've been hazed kind of the first time, where they're all still covered in this, what looks like blood, like, they're still in class, just, like, in this thing, right? Where one of the students, kind of like one of their friends, I guess, is having this conversation about AIDS, right? And this is like, this comes up all the time, right? But like, it is that thing of like, again, kind of associating like flesh with not just meat, but also sex, like in both of those senses. It's the kind of what came first, chicken or the egg? What came first, Freddie Mercury or the monkey?
Oh my god! I can't believe you said that.
Well, I can say that I had AIDS when I was a kid. Well, it's safest when you're a kid because then you can't get it again. You can't get AIDS twice, ladies and gentlemen.
Stop it.
No, they're kind of going on the thing of like either somebody ate a monkey or somebody had sex with a monkey, which like to some people are just as heinous because monkeys are so like closely related to us, but also just that little bit apart. It's like, what is more fucked up to you, that somebody ate something that's so closely related to us, which is almost cannibalism, or the fact that somebody had sex with a monkey and then gave it to Freddie Mercury? Elton John and Freddie Mercury were in Africa back in the day, and one thing led to another. Princess Diana was there.
She officiated. Oh my god, we should not be laughing about this.
Why? They're dead. They don't mind. So... You think I care about some dead fat? I'm joking. Freddie Mercury, we love you. Oh god, did I just refer to Princess Diana as a dead faggot? I sure did. But she was literally a princess. If that's not cap, I don't know what the fuck is. Okay. But the conversation kind of like goes as follows: that it's like, well, do you think that like raping an animal is any worse or any different than raping a human? And there is actually a very funny line where Adrian's like, yeah, but like if you rape a monkey, it's not going to get anorexic and then kill itself. But then Justine kind of pipes up and she's like, well, yeah, it is the same thing. And it is. It's like rape is rape. You know what I mean? Even more so in a way, I feel like if you're going like cross species, because then there is absolutely no form or no chance of any kind of consent, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of looks at her like she's a freak for saying this, and she's like, come on, like, I'm not fucking crazy for saying this. We're in veterinary school.
Yeah.
It's like, I almost thought she was going to be like, the whole fucking point of us being here is to help animals and understand other animals.
Yeah.
You know? But everybody looks at her as if she was like, unpopular statement.
Yeah.
I think it's something unpopular.
I also do want to point out
Everything I say
the
is
fact
correct.
that when this conversation is happening, it feels, specifically because Adrian is presenting openly as a gay male, as a gay man, that the conversation almost seems very kind of pointed at him, specifically because he is gay. and obviously being
Oh yeah, for
Asian,
sure.
it seems very almost to the point of the fact where Adrian becomes very, I want to say defense. Did you get that from watching that scene? Like he
Oh, well, he
becomes
does,
very
because he's like, look,
defensive of it.
I don't have AIDS or fuck monkeys, so why are you
Yeah.
talking to me about?
Yes.
Like,
And I was
fucking
like,
matter.
wow. Like, and it, like after Adrian says that, that conversation does spiral into the awkward moment afterwards. But I do want to say that like it does almost foreshadow what happens to Adrian in the end, i.e., uh, having
Gets
sex
AIDS.
and dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's crazy.
What happens in the end when Adrian fucks a monkey? Fucks the AIDS monkey? Yeah.
No, but the whole point is like, yeah, it just feels so like the tone seems very pointed. Is the carpet comfortable? And you know,
Is the monkey pussy comfortable?
And it's crazy because like I
do not fuck female monkeys, excuse you. Gross, she's a girl. Oh god.
Oh, we're terrible people. We're going to hell.
We're terrible people. I never fucked or ate a monkey. It's on the list, but you know.
I was waiting for something
I'll
like
get there someday. Yeah. I haven't fucked or ate a monkey yet. That's always next year.
Oh god. As long as the pandemic doesn't end and then we're good.
Okay, cut that down. Yeah, I only have room for one virus in this butthole, and it's not COVID. Oh god. So
wow.
Adrian, and I like, no joke, cut that, dead ass.
Literally dead ass.
Dead ass.
Oh, I'm tearing up here. Oh god. Oh yeah. Okay, so anyway, the lighting.
Yes, I actually did have notes about that as well. The lighting is very giallo in certain moments. There's very, like, I understand there's like the club scenes where there's supposed to be odd lighting, but like some of the hospital scenes are very Argento.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's long hallway shots of just pure red glow light. There is, especially like in the lecture room scenes, that scene where there is a live cow in the lecture room, and like the beautiful kind of green blue glow that you get from like the ultrasound that's projected onto the projector, as I said. But like it's beautiful, and like the lighting just, and actually I should just point this out, that the natural lighting towards the end of the film where we get that huge fight between the sisters is beautiful. I love that sort of deadpan dark tone to literally everything in that scene. It's beautiful.
Yeah, just that like kind of, and it's never nice out.
No, it's
in
not.
This movie ever. Yeah. It's always overcast and there's always clouds about, which I like though. And like I know you super didn't like this movie, but like something about the kind of cinematography and sound design and stuff like this, something about this movie was kind of like warm in a way. It was kind of comforting. The way the audio was picked up, it's a lot of the conversation in this movie is very intimate. Like it's nearly always one-to-one. There's not a lot of like group conversation. There's not a lot of I'm joking.
I agree.
No, cut that.
I agree. I think most of this film, while simultaneously I do not like this film, it does not mean that it's a bad movie. It does not mean that it's not acted well. It does not mean that it's not lit well. The cinematography, the lineup of shots, the suspenseful moments, and obviously like the difference of the erotic moments or the more animalistic moments or things like that. It does not mean that any of this is bad. I think it's fantastic, but for a film of my kind of viewing, again, it's just not the film for me. Do you know what I mean? It does not make it a bad film. It's just not the film for me.
Is this a first for you? Like in general, this is one of the first movies you've ever had to like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah,
Like I don't want to watch.
I mean,
this.
we discussed this in our other podcast, The Slab. But like we did, and like this was one of those films where I really did. I just did not like the vibe, the sort of like the
oh yeah, this is on your top 5 for movies that went far.
Like it was just it sort of just really wasn't the way I thought it was. I thought it was literally just going to be she turns into a cannibal, and it's going to be a film where the police are trying to find out who it is that's eating all these people. And then I very quickly found out that it wasn't, and I was like, oh, I really don't like where this is going. But I have since grown to appreciate it.
Sorry.
I have since grown to appreciate it, I will be honest, but it's still a film that I'll watch once and I probably won't watch it again, you know?
Le petit baby. Yeah.
Baby, fucking baby.
Just fully like half of it just isn't French.
Oh, actually, that's another thing that we should actually speak to is the reading of subtitles. Now, you and I actually differ on opinions when it comes to this. In my opinion, when it comes to subtitles, now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love foreign horror unit cinema movies. Love them to bits. I will watch them forever. But the only downside...
Last week is nothing to go off of.
But the only downside to these types of films is, yes, you have to read the subtitles. And in my opinion, it draws your attention consistently down to the bottom of the screen, and you lose 90% of what's going on in front of you.
90%?
Well, when I say 90%, I mean literally like you're trying to read that as quick
I
as
want
possible.
specifics. Get your abacus and your Bunsen burner out. I want statistics.
No. What I mean by 90%, I mean like you're trying to read the dialogue as quickly as you can without losing what you're actually watching. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So it's sort of, in my opinion, it can be detrimental. While I still love them, and you can, again, of course, watch them over and over again to capture as much as possible, I still do think subtitles are detrimental to an English-only viewing audience. If I could obviously speak French, then I would have more of a kind of better understanding as much as I possibly could. But definitely, it's in my opinion, at least with my experiences, it can be detrimental sometimes.
So Nathan hates the deaf and non-native language speakers. No, I'm joking. No, I'm just of the school that like I've always been a fan of like having the subtitles on, just because like I want to know like I don't want to miss out on anything. Like it's almost exactly for the opposite reason. Because like there's a certain amount that you can pick up with context, you know, or with body language, that kind of stuff. But it's like I'm not gonna try and understand a movie in a language that I don't speak, you know.
Yeah,
but even for English language media, if subtitles are an option, like I always put them on, and just because like I want to pick up on all the little like extra pieces, you know, and like probably like 73.5% of the time, I came with statistics, ladies and gents. And all in between. No, I think like most of the time you can just get what's going on, but I don't know. I like to have the extra little bit of context that's there.
No, you know? That's fair. That's absolutely valid, and I wouldn't say no to that for sure. I mean, it's very good points. Like you do want to see, you want to understand, and I think it's great. But in order to probably at least capture maybe some sort of directorial nuances or subtle hints or themes or Easter eggs or whatever, it might be detrimental to be consistently training your eyes to look directly down to here and missing everything that's going on up here. Do you know what I mean?
I
which
can
is
see
why
that, but
multiple
like most of
viewings
the
work
time, you're
best.
kind of just like watching the movie. It's like I would only really like glance down or like just kind of like look at the picture as a whole. You know what I mean? Like if it was like a like if I had to like look at like the actual dialogue, like if subtitles were like a book that came with the movie, and you had to actually like look down, I would find that like like super annoying. But like I don't know. I think it might actually just be a thing that I've always had subtitles on since I was a kid. I always
Yeah.
just like preferred it that way. I get that it's like that's kind of like annoying for a lot of people though. Like especially trying to share like a Netflix account with somebody and like you go and they're consistently turning off the subtitles. I said that to my house.
Gross. Oh, Jesus. Gross.
They're grande grosse.
Yeah, while I would agree with you, now in my opinion, when it comes to English movies and having the subtitles on, that is incredibly distracting to me, and I don't understand why you would do that. You can do it if you want. I just don't understand why you would do that. You know, and it's also a thing.
You do you, but I hate you.
Well, yeah, it's just it's very distracting, and you can lose content, because you're training your eyes to go right down to the bottom of the screen to understand what might be going on. I just think that's just my opinion.
I know, but would you rather not know what a single person is saying?
Oh, no. What I mean
Would
is,
you rather have no dialogue?
no. What I mean is, like it would be better if I actually learned the language. That would be better. But of course, I'm not going to always do that. I'm not going to be able to consistently read dialogue too quickly, or at least understand it too quickly in order to get into a film, or at least what other characters are trying to convincingly say. So it can come across stale and distracting. That's my opinion.
Well, fuck you. Subtitles are the shit. I'm joking. I feel like we're almost about to get into an argument over subtitles here. It's just a volley back and forth. Look, it's not that I don't like them. I just wish they didn't exist. I don't know. I don't think you lose that one too much because it's like it's all there on the screen. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a separate thing. You know.
Yeah,
I'm also not just like blocking out the top half of the screen. Whatever. Let's talk about the movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, among some of the stuff that I did want to kind of like talk about specifically was again that sort of fear of a bad reputation, or you know, rejection of independence because of you know, the college life and how it all fits in and the hierarchy of the cool kids or whatever. But that very specific scenes of it's very much like that burn book from Mean Girls, like discovering like dirty little secrets about each other. And Alexia has videoed, you remember you were talking about that corpse where she was like acting so animalistic, where she confronts Alexia in front of like a whole group of students that are outside for whatever reason.
I would have fucking killed her.
I would have destroyed her. But what made me immediately think of again like that sort of rejection of societal standards and all of that was the fact that they literally started, I mean, they kicked the shit out of each other, but they also started biting each other and everything until other students had to step in. And like one student even wraps a scarf around one of the girls, and like they're just Alexia, and they're on their hands and knees, and they're literally like the image of two Rottweilers and their owners barking at each other came to my head.
That's exactly what it was. It was like people were wrangling animals. Yeah.
Yes.
I loved it though. And like you were saying, like you were just kind of touching on there, it's like this like rejection of societal norms where like they're both just like, fuck it. Like, fuck this. Like, and this is kind of the ending of like suppression of self in a way where they're not just fighting, they're both showing their like feral side.
Yes.
Where it gets to a point where Alex just like bites a fucking chunk out of Justine's face,
Yeah.
like right out of like the middle of her cheek, and then there's a point like right before they get broken up where they're both like locked in place and they're just like biting on each other. I love it. And there's one scene as well where it's kind of like after all this where Justine basically it like goes back to her like dorm and is talking to Adrian, and she's basically like she's like, oh, do you want to fuck her? And he's like, no, I'm gay or whatever like that. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she like goes into her room, comes back out, and she's like, it's bad. I need it like bad or whatever like that. And he's already caught her kind of like rifling through the fridge. Like one of the first scenes we see her do some kind of fucked up shit. He's like, what do you eat for breakfast? And she's like, cereal. And he's like, oh, the cereal's up there. And she's like, I'm looking for milk. Get out of here. And then she just takes this like raw piece of raw chicken out of the fridge and just like, and the way we were even speaking about this very briefly before recording, whatever they made that out of is so convincing because like it's like gelatinous but also fibrous and has that like you can see that she has to like really like rip it apart. She like it's not like you cannot just eat raw meat. It's like our teeth are not like our biology is not supported to eat raw meat like in that state. We're supposed to cook meat and shred it apart. That's just how we live. That's why we have fire, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, she basically is like, it's bad. I need your cock. Show us your cock.
Show us your cock.
And this scene. Adrian, show us your cock. Yeah. But it's like it's COQUE. Un grande coque. Yeah. Sorry, all the French people.
Wow.
But anyway, not that sorry. So they're like fucking, right? And this scene, like, no joke, I was like, this is like hot as fuck now.
Yeah, it is.
Because like it's really, really hot at the start, and then it's like, have you seen Showgirls?
No.
Oh my god, okay, so there's a scene where Nomi and Kyle MacLachlan are like having sex in a pool, right? She's Jessie from Save for the Bell.
Yeah.
Right, but they're fucking in the pool and it starts off all sexy, right, and then she just starts like thrashing. She's just like literally throwing herself around, right, and she's kind of doing that, and this is another instance where I was like, this is her like being an animal, like it's like almost like a werewolf transformation or something, where she's like writhing and like throwing herself around, and she keeps trying to bite him and he's like, stop. And then she just like she does this thing that I also thought was really hot, and like the imagery was like, I loved it, where they're like about to like come or whatever like that, and she just like throws herself over him like onto the bed and bites her own arm. But the way she does it, I don't know why, I was like, damn. Yeah. That's kind of like look, though. She just like sinks her teeth right into her arm to the point where it's like bleeding, and she kind of like, I loved it. I love that whole imagery.
It's again like it's giving into that again, like they're fucking like proper wild animals, and they're just giving into the primal instinct that obviously is sex, but like the theme again is like rejection of assimilation and societal standards. So like giving into such a primal instinct, she literally like again obviously being the cannibalistic kind of standpoint, she literally orgasms as she bites into her own arm for pain and pleasure at the same time. And again, it just sort of it harkens back to that's why the sort of artistic interpretation that the director Julia Ducournau puts into the film is using cannibalism as a way of putting across those themes of the more primal you become, the more rejected of society you are, and the less accepted you are, and the less respected you are. And yet these are the things that we not cannibalism, but these like primal instincts like this, these are things that we consistently reject in normal culture. And yet like behind closed doors in a bedroom, it's like kind of all bets are off. Like this is who you really are.
Exactly. Like it's kind of fucked up to like pretend that it's like two of the two of the biggest like cravings and kind of like urges, and like I don't mean urges in like a oh I have to do this. It's like the like an organic body generally is compelled to eat and to fuck. Those are like two things that are like
constant,
like side by side, you know, and we get that a lot. Kind of just touching on symbolism again, we get that a lot in movies where humans become the food. That it's like a werewolf movie, for example, or something like that, where it's like these things are all in place of like suppressed sexuality or like a suppressed something. It's like a hunger just in general,
yeah,
you know. To kind of have those things like very closely related and like be like coexistent in the same act.
yeah,
Like it works so well,
yeah,
you know. But I
absolutely.
love that he's just like he just thinks that she's like into S&M, and it's like no, she's a biter. I don't think I've ever been with somebody who turned around and just bit their own arm to the point where like blood bleeds.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, again, eating raw meat with the skin on it would be so hard. Like that would be so difficult to do. Like trying to bite through like pig flesh and human flesh are like very much so the same. We're supposed to also taste the same.
Yeah.
Like human is supposed to taste like sweet pork.
Mm-hmm.
But like to bite through, I don't know if you've ever tried to bite through your own skin, but that shit is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
Yup.
Yup. Yup. Yup. Are you
I tried
aching?
that
Yup,
last night
yup,
though
yup.
after watching that
For
scene.
some
I like
bacon. Yup,
I
yup,
was
yup.
thinking like
You could be a big pig. Yup, yup. He could be a big pig too. Oi!
yeah. Like I tried to like low-key do that like last night. Just like not like eat myself, but like to try and like see like what's the like pressure point, like how hard is it to bite through fucking human skin? If anybody knows, let me know. But like damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't actually let me know. I don't want fucking cannibals up in my DMs. Especially not you, Army Hammer. I don't care if you're famous and mildly cute, you fucking cannibal.
Oh,
You
God.
cantable, okay?
Wow.
Cannotable.
Oh, God. She's recording, so just whenever you...
Okay. So just after this scene where the girls have their fight and are like pulled away with each other, they kind of come to this like understanding of like okay, like we're both like this, like whatever. So they both go back to Justine's dorm and are like cleaning each other up and stuff, and they both get.
I really just want to say that like that's exactly again that animal imagery where they're literally just licking each other's wounds. Well, they're not literally doing it, but it's figuratively like they're doing exactly that. They literally just hum at each other, and they're in a figurative sense licking each other's wounds because all of a sudden they're nicey sisters again.
Yeah, and they have this kind of like again, it's kind of like nudity removed from sexuality, like from sexualization. They both get each other naked and they get in the shower and they wash each other off and stuff. And then Justine like goes to leave the room or whatever, and there's this like she takes the key. And we see it that it's like she does it like she's planning on doing something, like the key for her room from the inside. And she goes to lock it from the outside and then just doesn't. And like that never comes back up again. But I'm like, again, that's something that is there very like intentionally. But she goes out and she like gets in bed with Adrian, not in a sexual way. They're just like she's just sleeping next to him or whatever.
Oh, he's smoking a J. Yeah.
Yeah, he gives her the thing where he's like, want to drag or whatever, and she goes over and they like fall asleep together. And she wakes up the next day, like still kind of like covered in blood a little bit, like on her mouth, like from her wound. She like peels off her like her dressing.
Yeah.
And when I say like Alex took a chunk out of her face, she like bit like a chunk out of her face.
There is an indent.
Yeah, and it like seeing towards the end, it ends up being like this huge scar. Like it's not like a small surface wound. But she kind of turns to Adrian to like wake him up and be like, "Wake up, le petit," like whatever, and like he doesn't wake up. And then but before she realizes that he's dead, she is just like touching his face and then like feeling his chest, and then like gets down to where we can't see, like underneath the sheets, and she pulls her hands up and it's just blood, right? And then she whips off the sheet. And we see that his thigh has just been eaten completely away. like completely away. And like again, this goes back to like the kind of medical kind of like brutalism that France has come to like be known for with their horror. It looks so realistic. It's
Yeah.
not like, and it's not buckets of blood everywhere. It's like a realistic amount of blood. And she's kind of breaking down, and she thinks it was her. She thinks it was her, and she's like, "Why didn't you fight me? Like, why didn't you hit me? Like, why didn't you try and stop?" Wow, Justine, great way to victim blame after your sister just ate your fucking gay best friend. Um, I wonder what he tasted like. AIDS. I mean,
Oh
AIDS
my
is not a four-letter word.
god!
We should be able to speak about AIDS, Nathan. AIDS is not a four-letter word. But it is. But yeah, we're kind of led to believe that it was her, and then she goes in, and she like kind of walks around the little apartment for a sec, and sees her sister just like sitting there, and her sister looks like a zombie or like a vampire because she's just sitting there, and she's got like all of this blood caked on the front of her face, all the way down her neck. Like she is very definitely eating this person.
Yeah.
And then she put this like a hockey, not like a hockey, like a skiing
pole.
like pole or whatever,
Yeah.
and just holds it like right up to her forehead and kind of pushes in a little bit. Like I remember initially watching this, I was like, she's just gonna like whip that across and like cut her sister's throat or something. But it doesn't end up happening. And like very, very quickly before we move on to kind of the last stretch of this, there's a scene we kind of had to talk about somewhat like in the middle of the movie when we get these sisters kind of bonding over cannibalism and whatnot, as sisters are known to do. I don't know popular over in France, so not never been. But there's this scene which was alluded to in the first scene where the two girls like go this road again that we've seen like a million times, right, in the movie. And they're just kind of waiting like predators, like a wolf or like a lion, because they're like hunched down. They're kind of like doing that thing that like cats do, you know, before like a cat attacks you, they do the thing where they like charge up. They do the little like wiggle with their body. And she jumps out and this car crashes, right? And then Alex walks over. Like Justine thinks that like Alex has been hit by the car. So like then Alex gets up, walks over and is like, "Oh, he's not gonna make it," and then just like leans into the car and like opens up and like gets this guy's head in her hands and just starts like his brain is like exposed. It's full Pet Cemetery
Crushed
over here.
skull, yeah.
It's like she's just like slurping all of this like pink matter up off of his head. Oh. It's so good. And she's, "What? I did it for you." Which at first I was like, okay, you better be a supportive sister. You go, girl. But then on the other hand, I'm like, you fully just killed two people.
Yeah.
You just killed people. You can eat people's flesh without killing them.
As we find out.
We'll find out more about that on next week's episode when we show you how to fully break down a human carcass. Yeah.
No evidence, disposal good.
People don't count. Yeah.
No, it's very good, and it's like that whole shot of her just kind of like tilting her head into the car door, and like you immediately know what she's doing, and it's gross. It is gross to say the least. And yeah, I just I can appreciate the gore because you know me, I fucking love gore to the max. Like, you know, and this film really does it well. Like I said earlier on, coming from the violence sort of aspect, it's used very sparingly, but when it is used, it's used to the best effective way possible, where you're literally just feeling the impact of her tilting her head into the fucking car door and just like lapping up this guy's brain matter. It's gross, but it's done so well.
Strangely, both of us felt that the gore or the kind of violence that most affected us in this movie was the violence against animals, dead or not dead. There's a scene, I think it's like the first classroom scene that they're in, kind of, where we see a horse. They give cat to this horse. You got a cat here? What are you, crazy? They give ketamine to this horse, and this horse is knocked out, right? But like for some reason, it like struck me in a weird way that they have this horse and it's like on the floor and they like winch up its feet and have it just like lifted up by its feet, and I don't know why I was like, that looks so uncomfortable. That looks like weird, and then they just carry it out. And then I know the one that actually kind of fucked you up, the one that you really didn't like, was she just cuts into this Alsatian. They bring out
Yeah.
all of these, and I think that that was a real dog. I
I'd
think those
say,
were
yeah.
dogs because they
It's,
were in like actual veterinary college.
yeah. Like, again, it harkens back to, like I said, like, it doesn't seem like such a sterile place because, like I said, like, it gives off this sort of greasy, disgusting vibe. And then obviously, like, how carelessly, like, I know she's a vet, so she's meant to get used to this, and I can understand that. But from a viewer's perspective, first time seeing that, just literally, like, she's not even looking at the dog while she's doing it. She's looking at Adrian, who's talking to her, and he's looking down at how quickly she's just slicing open the abdominal cavity of this dog.
With a
And
scalpel.
like,
They show it. They show
Yeah.
every piece of it.
And, like, again, like, I don't want to continuously hark back to the fact that I'm vegetarian, but, like, looking at that, like, is one of those things.
As so much vegetarian, you won't have to ask. They'll tell you. Yeah.
Like, it's so like, it's very much like I had to, turn my head and sort of not look while it was happening. You know what I mean?
But you won't read subtitles, but you'll turn your head away. Le petit baby.
But it's very hard for me to see things like that,
Damn, I noticed over there in his house squirming. I loved it. Again, for a check. Yeah.
It does. This film does sort of end on a very kind of funny note. They're sitting at the dinner table, and Justine is literally like, her mother is like forcing her to finish her veg on the plate. She's like, don't leave until you fucking eat the rest of your veg. You do not leave this table. And, like, she gets up and storms off, and it pisses me off because the mother is annoyed. And I'm like, but bitch, you're the literal fucking cause of this. And the dad is like, he just turns around and he's like, you're not to blame. And she's like, yeah, my sister's to blame. He goes, yeah, but your sister's not to blame either. And she's like, what? And he basically just goes, your mother's the cause of this, because he opens up his t-shirt and, like, reveals all of these, like, deep chunks and bite marks and scratches and, like, everything. Oh my god. And, like, it's so funny because he looks deadpan at her with his shirt open. He's just like, you'll figure it out.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, like, the mother has given him this, like, cleft palate as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like, god damn.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, it is weird that this, like, movie is so dark and so visceral, but, like, there are some, like, funny moments like that,
Yeah.
I think you kind of have to, in a way. Like, if you're gonna go so visceral and so brutal, that's, like, a word that I've used a million times in this, but that's just, like, when I think of French horror, that's the word that comes to mind. Like, the French have always had, like, a kind of weird, brutal relationship with entertainment, like the Grand Guignol. I'm sure we'll get into that in its own episode someday.
Yes. I would definitely say that there's a visceral beauty to this film. There's a full visceral beauty to it, and
it's very well shot.
I think it's strong. It's visually very strong. The music in it, the electronic versus the acoustic, sort of brilliance of that soundtrack. I love it. I think it's a great film. But I fucking hate it. Fuck you, French people.
Oh my god, but do you know what a fuck is?
No. Do I want
It's a baby seal.
Oh, God, whatever.
Baby seal French is a fuck.
Okay, perfect. So just quickly before we finish up, we wrap up, get this all going. Like we announced last week, this is Foreign Non-English Horror Cinema Month. So we are keeping that theme going, but like we announced at the end of the episode, we are going to give the third week over to your choice. So we're going to give you a choice of 2 films, and you pick whichever one you would really like to hear. Also, obviously, make sure to sound off and make the selection. Make sure to vote. It's important. Register to vote. So Your first choice, we're going to continue again, that obviously not English. We're going to go with Spanish for my choice because I speak Spanish and I'm amazing. And the film
Wow.
is 1993, directed by Guillermo del Toro, and the film is Kronos. An antique dealer, Jesus Cris, stumbles across Kronos, a 400-year-old scarab. When it latches onto him, grants him youth and eternal life, but also a thirst for blood. So make sure to select my choice because it's amazing. What do you got, Lee?
So I have the 1960 classic, Italian classic, Mario Bava's Black Sunday.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. So, while being burnt at the stake, the witch Asa vows to enact revenge on her descendants. Hundreds of years later, Asa returns to life and immediately raises her henchmen from the dead, ready to keep her promise. I don't know why I felt like I need to make that sexy. Yes, this is Mario Bava's 1960 classic. Yeah, vote for me because I want it.
But it's also really, really amazing because we really want to kind of incorporate you guys more so into our film selection process and really kind of get you involved to really kind of hear what you want to hear and, you know, get those recommendations in because we really want to hear from you and we want to improve all the time, you know?
And again, like I think these past couple of weeks have shown, doesn't even have to be in English at all. I'm very, very happy to watch literally anything.
Yeah, yeah. Within good taste.
No.
So that's it for today, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Sound off in the comments section below. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for the daily content at They're Here Podcast.
Yes. Yes, I love it. No, seriously though. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, if you have any recommendations for us, make sure to let us know. Give us a message, leave a comment in our subscription box. Everything, let us know. And we'll see you next time. Get voting.
Bye. Unpleasant dreams.